Okay, good morning. Last week of May then, so we're nearly touching June now, isn't it? So I understand that this week is the half-term week. So all I would say is on the half-term week, I've booked a couple of days off this week, the Thursday and the Friday, so you won't hear a lot from me on Thursday and Friday. I've got some projects to do and things like that. Okay, and probably sit in the sun because there's not a lot of places you can go, is there, to be fair. So what I'd suggest though is that even though it's half-term, that we continue as we would normally do. Okay, so try and get the work done probably by the Wednesday would be the best thing to do, so spend Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday getting it done, and then have a bit more of a relax in terms of where you are for your half term, because you could drive out somewhere etc with your family and go for walks and those kind of things. Okay, so if you can get everything done by Wednesday, that would be great. Okay, it gives me time to mark it and have a look at it. In terms of what's going on at the moment, our awarding body haven't released any information. There's only just been some frequently asked questions stuff that's been sent out, and that was in early March. So in terms of where we are, there's nothing released as yet. But just to give you an idea of what is going on in terms of education at the minute, obviously you know about grading for GCSEs, that's been mooted around for a long time. What you'll find at the minute is there's lots of construction courses. So when we say construction courses, we are talking bricklaying, joinery, maintenance, painting and decorating, etc. Their awarding bodies have asked them to go back to college and just take the practical parts of their course. So that's just construction. In terms of building services, it's not been said, which is plumbing and electrical, it's not been said what we have to do yet. But it would probably give you an indication and an insight. If that's what the construction courses are being asked to do, we might be asked to do something similar. So I sincerely hope that you understand why we've been doing a little bit more of what we've been doing. Now it might be that they just ask us to do practical, and that's going to be challenging for social distancing reasons more than anything else. But obviously if we have exams to do, which they could possibly ask, we need to be in that best position. What I have noticed at the minute is a little bit of a drop-off in terms of people actually sending things in to me or getting formative assessments done. The worry and the concern behind that for me, and probably will be for you, is that if we don't keep up with where we need to be, and we are, let's say we do go back in, let's say a fictitious date sort of end of June, July, somewhere around there, and we have to go back and do something, we won't be in the best position then to be doing it if we've not kept up with what I'm asking you to do. Okay, so I understand it can be frustrating. I understand that you can lose motivation because you're not at college, etc. And I understand all that. I sincerely understand it. It's hard for me some days. Okay, it is hard for me to make sure we get everything done and what we need to do. It is a challenge for teachers and lecturers across the country. Okay. I must say though, from everything that people have done so far, the response has been fantastic. It's just I've noticed there is a little bit of a drop-off, and I think we just need to address that quite quickly. Okay, so I'm hoping to see an improvement. You know I don't do moaning videos. No one wants moaning videos. It's no good to anybody, is it at all? But I just need you to lift your game a little bit. Okay, and to be fair, the majority of you are already doing it. Okay, so you'll know if it applies to you or not. Okay, because you're not daft people. You know in your heart of hearts if you've done stuff and you're not. Okay, so if we do have to go back, which could be the case, then we need to be in that strong position to do it. Okay, so there probably will be something sooner rather than later said. I guess it will be after half term, and then we'll probably know where we're going to be. Okay, in terms of college reopening, there's nothing being said yet. We'll only open obviously once it's deemed to be safe. Okay, and the college team will be working up on those things as well. Okay, so the college will communicate as and when it's needed. You won't get it through this channel. Okay, so stick with it, keep going. Okay, for the ones that are doing it every week, brilliant, superb. Okay, absolutely superb. The quality of the work is brilliant. Okay, there's no other way to praise you. If I could praise you and give you awards for things, I would do. Okay, so certainly when I go back to work at some point, I will be mentioning, and I already have done to people higher up, some individuals that have done some outstanding work. Okay, so thank you. And for the ones that are just lacking that bit of motivation, okay, stick with it. And the thing too is, remember, we're all in this situation together. It's not one college or a different college, etc. Everybody's facing the same problems. Okay, it's something we need to push through. Okay, there will be light at the end of the tunnel. There's going to be, and there's a point where it's all done and dusted and finished. We just need to get to that point. And I know it's difficult with not knowing what's going to happen. You know, we're all left in the dark, but to be fair, it's, you know, more important that people are safe than people, you know, becoming unsafe getting qualifications. So, you know, it has to be in the correct sort of judgment with that. Okay, but keep your motivations up, and like I say, if you want to chat about anything, whatever, you know, if you're losing motivation with things, or what's the point of me doing it, etc., get in contact with me. You know you can get in contact with me. Talk to me about it, okay? And I'll share with you what I think is going on, okay? As I try to do on every single video, okay? So keep going. We're doing a good job, okay? We are, okay? We're doing quite well. So let's go through some answers then in terms of what we've done so far. So, estimator was the first key area we had to look at. So an estimator is somebody there that works on a very large project or a very, very large company. They're going to estimate the total price of the job. It's not something I'd fancy doing, to be completely honest. Imagine if you get that wrong, that'd be quite dramatically bad, wouldn't it? Obviously there'll be footnotes and protocols they have to follow to ensure that those things don't get wrong. And they would more than likely, I guess, would put a bit of a markup in terms of a percentage on the price in case they do find something that they can't estimate for. But they will give an idea of pricing. Okay, then we have the COW, the Clerk of Works. So Clerk of Works there is looking for, from the quality angle really. So for example, the contracts I used to work on, we used to do full central heating systems, as some of you will already know, and I've told you when we've been covering a lot of the units in college. And once every 2 to 3 weeks we'd have a clerk of work that would come out and he would quality check everything that we've previously done and then drop in on the job we were doing. So when he would go round, he would be looking at the installation, does it comply to building regs, etc, etc. And obviously if there's anything small that needs to be picked up, he would produce something called a snagging list. The snagging list itself would just contain small defects. We would be expected to go back and rectify them. So we would do that at the end of the day. We would maybe leave a job we were on an hour early to travel across town to go and rectify some of the small areas that we needed to. Some can be as minor as a wrap over clip hasn't been closed. We've had that on a gas supply outside somebody's house before. Wrap over clip wasn't closed. It does make you wonder, because you think, well, why couldn't you just close that and then it wouldn't be on the list? But it's got a protocol to follow, to be fair, so that's how it works. So that's what the Clerk of Works will do. Then we have a structural engineer. It does what it says on the tin really. So the structural integrity of somebody's house. So a structural engineer will be assessing and doing the calculations to make sure the structures for each building is compliant and it is safe. So load bearing joists for etc, etc, they'll be looking at those, load bearing walls, etc. Then we looked at the facilities manager. So a facilities manager is somebody who works perhaps in a college or an office or a large factory, and they're responsible for the environmental and also the maintenance of the building. So maintenance of the building, for example, as a facilities manager, let's say at a college, they're responsible for the plumbing, electrical, joinery, brickwork, building work, etc, etc. So they're looking after that. When we talk about an environmental point of view, every building has some kind of environmental footprint of some description, and a facilities manager's job is to keep that as physically low as possible. You might have heard of this ISO 9001 standard. You don't need to look too far into it, but there is ratings in there for buildings' emissions and environmental output, so it is worth having a look at it. And the ISO 9001 is just a quality mark standard. There is a segment in there about that kind of information. So if you want to know a little bit more, have a look at that as a quality kite mark standard. It covers quite a few things as well, but facilities manager is to maintain that building basically. Okay, then we looked at two things, arbitration and ACAS. They pretty much go hand in hand if I'm completely honest. So arbitration meetings are usually held with somebody from ACAS or some kind of representative, and they're trying to resolve a conflict between two people. ACAS is the advisory service. It's the arbitration, conciliation and advisory service. Very long-winded, very hard to say sometimes, to be fair as well, and they give advice and guidance a little bit like citizens' advice and to do with anything to do with those kind of meetings. So hopefully you don't have to have any of those, but they are there, again, under protection. So this is where the video is now going to change slightly. So what I want us to be able to do, we're going to break this in half. So we've done communication with others. I'd released 60 questions, which is more than ample, to be fair, in terms of what you need to know. You've covered the criteria in the work. You've obviously got the free book, and the work that's been sent in is really, really good. It's a bit of a dry subject, it's a bit of a strange subject. I can see the use of it because you do need to know trade areas, etc., plans and documents. For me personally, this is a personal thought, it would have been better integrated into maybe site prep and something else. That's just a personal thought. So what we could look at doing is, with this video, we're going to split it in half. So the first section is going to be on science. So for example, group A, we were due to do science, and this is where we're going to start the science. Group B, I'm going to do a mixture of cold water and hot water because we had some resits across both of those areas, so we need to have a look at those. So the first bit here now is just for group A. So what I want you to have a look at is something called SHC, which is specific heat capacity. I want you to find out what it is, but I want you to tell me how it relates to the materials that we use in plumbing and why it's important. So that's specific heat capacity. Then I want you to find 3 different variant types of heat transfer. So I'll give you the 3 that I want you to look at, but I want you to give me an explanation of what they are and what they do. So you've got conduction is the first one, radiation and convection. So that's conduction, radiation and convection. There's the 3 titles. I want you to find out what they are in terms of heat transfer and how they affect plumbing systems today. Then after that, I want you to get me a list of ferrous and non-ferrous metals. That will affect obviously an installation, so depending on what you're doing and the materials you're using. If we're using the incorrect materials, it will cause major corrosion and you'll be back within less than 6 months to fix something. So it's ferrous and non-ferrous metals, please. Okay, for the guys then that will be doing cold water and hot water, so this will be now for group B. So when we're doing cold water and hot water, for cold water I'd like you to find me direct and indirect cold water systems. I would like a picture, I'd like pipe sizing, I'd like valves, because you know that's how we normally do it, but I'd also like a description of how it works and any maintenance requirements on the system. So that's direct cold water. Additionally to that, I would like indirect cold water, and I'd like exactly the same, please, how it works. It needs to be labelled, it needs to be valved, how it works, the type of maintenance that needs to take place with this system. And then right at the end of those 2, I want you to describe what the difference is between direct and indirect. And if you can, give me an example of where you would use both. Okay, if you've done cold water, brilliant, smashing. So we'll move you on to hot water. And with hot water, I'd like you to find all the current cylinders available today on the market. That will include direct and indirect, etc., etc. So please find some of the older ones, they are still around. So if you don't got hot water to do, it's find all the cylinders that are on today's market. I'd like a picture of it and I'd like an explanation of what it is and how it works. Okay. And if you've done hot and cold, superb. We'll push you on to central heating, and I'd like you to find all the different types of heating systems available on the market today. So start with 1 pipe, go to 2 pipe, etc., etc. So if you're doing heating, find all the different types of heating systems. I'd like a picture, please. And again, you haven't got to break any records with this, just go to Moodle, it is on there. Explanation of how they work, obviously the valves labelled and the pipe sizing, and I'd also like the maintenance requirements there as well, please. Okay, so there's a fair chunk to do. Now in terms of the cold, hot and heating, you should know where you are up to. I clearly do, but let's see if you can recall where you are going to be up to. Okay, so that's important that you're able to state what part of the program you've got to do. You yourself will know. If you are desperately stuck and are completely unsure, then please get in touch with me. Okay, and you know how to do that. On top of all those activities, I'm going to release 2 lots of Socrative questions, but I'm going to break it in the middle of the week. So what I'm going to do, for the guys in Group B where you've got cold, hot and heating to do, I will not do your Socrative questions and I won't release them probably until Wednesday morning, because I wouldn't think that would be particularly fair. So there will be some questions to do with cold, hot and heating released for you, but that will be Wednesday morning. Group A, I will be releasing your Socratives probably first thing Monday morning, so you can get your work done on the science and then answer a series of questions for me as well. Okay, so that's how we're going to work it and take it forward. Obviously the Thursday, Friday next week I'm off. I'll be at home, I'm not going to be doing anything particularly special. But I do have some projects that I want to do, you know what it's like. Okay, so I spend most of my other days actually in this office working, getting stuff done. So it would be nice to do something slightly different for a couple of days. So if you do send me anything, obviously I will check my emails, but don't expect to reply please on the Thursday, Friday. You'll get something then on the Monday, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I might have something more to tell you, possibly at that particular point. So fingers crossed at that point. Okay. So if you can get that work done, that would be great. Okay. Keep going what you're doing. And again, utilise that free BPET book if you've not done so already. That's pretty much live on our Moodle site. It's there to help you. It's there for a reason. Please use that. Take pictures from it if you need to put it into your work. It's not a problem. It's the best resource you're going to get. So I've tried to keep everything as close as I can together. Okay. So if you've got any questions surrounding anything that I've asked you to do, again, get in contact with me please as soon as possible. Make sure you keep safe, keep well. Try and enjoy a little bit of sunshine if you can, because it does look like it's starting to get a little bit warmer at the minute. So again, take care of yourselves. Okay, and any questions, let me know. Okay, cheers.